Howdy. Welcome to you already left. Welcome to the Heim podcast.
Hello.
D-Day H Hour. My name is Travis Heim.
I'm Emma Heim.
And we are Heim Time. Do we say it at the same time?
We are Heim podcast. That was planned.
Thank you for watching. So this is a new avenue for us. I'm a little nervous, a little interesting, but what are your goals for the podcast?
I'm here to party.
Okay, great. Obviously.
I think to the public, we're very much like those are the Heims of Heim barbecue. And I think there's other sides of us that we would like for the world to know.
Not barbecue related.
Yeah, we do other stuff. So let's talk about it. And then we can
don't
also
do that much stuff.
We don't really, but we don't like smoke a brisket at home every day.
No, we don't do that.
But just kind of share more about ourselves. And then I think your goal is to bring in some people that are going to add to that, you know, make it interesting. Some local guys and gals. Said chicks.
Yeah, I think the goal for this more than anything was just to be kind of a funny thing that you could listen to while you're working or something else. We're big fans of a ton of podcasts. Everyone and their brother, it seems like, is starting a podcast. So, we thought, why not? This is something we talked about for a while, and then we never really did anything with it.
Taking the leap.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. And if it's just, my grandmother listening, then that's fine. At least
Shout
we
out
have
to
one.
Jane.
At least we have one person listening. So, the goal is we'll talk, food, we'll talk music, we'll talk sports, try to stay away from politics.
Yeah,
right?
No. Not really interested.
Yeah, bear trap. But have some friends on that are local small business owners, musicians, all that type of stuff, and just kind of roll with it. And so you can find us, Heim Time Podcast, just like it's spelled up here, on Twitter. We're gonna do an Instagram.
Yeah.
We're starting a Patreon. We're kind of still figuring that out, but that's patreon.com/ Heim Time Podcast. And then too on that, we'll have the normal podcast will be available ad free. If we can get some sponsors, we'll see how that goes.
Hint.
But then, you don't have to listen to that, I guess. But then two, there's an option, we've done some YouTube videos, like, how to properly slice a brisket.
Little budget, but
it looks great.
Yeah,
you did a great job on it. And
thanks.
So, two, the goal is, we'll have some more directed stuff on there of different recipes and different, whatever, literally whatever.
Sky's the limit here.
Whatever, we're open. So,
any ideas too, shoot us a message. Twitter.
Yeah. So we have some questions today that we're going to go over, which were people from Twitter that asked.
Nice.
And so we'll talk about that. And so
sweet.
I had to screen a couple of them. Some of them weren't
Twitter's
terribly productive. But,
Twitters you just never know what you're going to get. Yeah,
we're trying to stay away from Big 12 football, I think is in general, unless we want to talk TC football, which I'm here for.
I mean, it's a big part of our lives.
It's a big part of our life.
If anyone follows Heim Twitter.
And so Heim Barbecue, if you don't know, that's restaurants that we own here in Fort Worth, and we're very proud of that, and that's awesome. But we don't really want this to be about that, which probably doesn't make any sense. But
this episode will have a lot of restaurant.
We'll talk barbecue and
how we got started.
That's whatever. We'll do it because that's what it is. But more than anything, I think too, like one of our first episodes will be Grady Spencer from Grady Spencer and the Work. One of our friend, but one of our favorite musicians. And so too, people like that, especially nowadays that have been, with COVID struggles and ruining live music industry and everything. Right. Everybody's affected by it, but especially small business owners, artists like that. And just kind of get their feedback. What are they going through? Talk about, what their favorite Chick-fil-A sauces are. Like,
I'm here for that, man.
Stuff, so,
that's important. We need to know that stuff.
Yeah. And I think too, everybody's affected by it, but too, Instagram and social media are always kind of like, it's not what it is. You know what I mean? There's always like, it's like the better version of what's going on. Or just, like everybody who posts, oh, I'm on vacation all the time. Obviously not now, but it's like, you're not really on vacation all the time, but what are you projecting? That's what you want. So, with us, it's like, we're trying not to be, depressive, doom and gloom on our social media, because it's not, everybody's gone through it.
How do you make people happy?
Yeah. Yeah. But too, I think, the point of talking with business owners, other stuff, and really like, okay, what's really going on?
Yeah.
We're all kind of in this together, but, peeling back the layers of, things aren't
reality.
Great. Yeah. And,
but like also have
just
fun.
As sad as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say,
we just want to make this
sounds a little sad, but that's so true. But then also with a hint of fun and jokes.
A dash,
you might say. Can you give me the measurement, sir?
Are you going to do your Julia Childs impersonation?
Oh. Julia Childs.
So thank you, Julia, for being with us today.
Yes.
I don't know why it's one of my favorite things she does, but
just give me a White Claw and it'll be better.
Yeah. We're happy to be here in the Nexim Creative Studios.
Yeah,
our friend Paul. Nice. He's already got the White Claws back there.
Oh, nice.
But this is something we've talked about like literally 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I wanted to, do some kind of podcast video thing and put it up on Facebook and all that. And then of course never did anything, with it.
Well, we've been busy.
We have been busy. Yeah. And so, we're thankful for Paul, kind of helped get this all set up, get us in gear.
Yeah.
So we got the studio here where we can hang and hopefully do more of this and, expand on that. But we're excited to be here. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's roll.
Let's roll.
Let's do it.
Were you going to say anything? Oh.
No, I'm always here though.
He's always listening. So we said kind of why we're doing the podcast. We do have some notes that we're reading, but what are your goals for the podcast?
You just asked me this.
So let's move on.
Am I right?
So let's move on.
Okay.
And we do have some questions from our beloved Twitter followers that we'll go over. But who are you?
I am Emma Heim. I am co-owner of Heim Barbecue and Catering.
Yeah.
If you ever need catering.
Yeah.
I have been married to Travis Heim for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Coming up on 10 years, which is nuts. We met in junior high at church.
Yeah.
Before you were a bad kid, or maybe right in the middle when you were a bad kid. And what else? I raise a dog.
You do. We do have a dog, Frank, who is almost 10 years old.
He's almost 10. I know.
He's doing
fluff
great.
Nugget.
Yeah. Sometimes he'll poop on the patio, which is weird.
Yeah.
I still don't understand that.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful
Must
backyard,
be comfortable.
with Bermuda grass that we take good care of, but still it's that's his deal. If that everyone can kind of do his 2020 whatever. So you are a co-owner of Heim Barbecue,
Right? Yeah.
What
That's my main gig, I guess you could say.
Your main gig among many?
I am currently actually am I officially chief marketing officer of Heim Barbecue, so
slash a million other things, but
slash OCD runner of all things, but that's my main, I guess you could say, if there was a title, it would be co-owner and then CMO,
right?
So I do all the social media, soch you could say, except Twitter. So if you follow us on Twitter, King over here. What did I call you? Tweet God?
I think. Which is, I appreciate that.
Sometimes I tweet, but it'll be like, hey, we have raw briskets for sale.
something business related, which is kind of the opposite of what I do.
Yeah. And like I asked you that the other day, I was like, we have a lot of followers. This is a good platform. Do you post business things, or do you just like do stuff about football or
jokes
or
what was my response?
You said jokes.
Okay.
Football.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you have the Instagram, Facebook,
Facebook, all the fun stuff.
And now, and we talk about that a lot as business owners, but like it's free. That's awesome. Social media. And so now we're up to 32,500 Instagram, not to be precise, but
I mean, I know the exact number.
So you have like a counter.
I do. You can look on the insights.
On Instagram and Facebook and all that. And
which is so cool that you guys follow us. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like literally our marketing. So we had a PR company for like a hot minute, and we decided we didn't even need it because it's just so easy to do it yourselves on Instagram and all that. So thank you guys.
No offense, but yeah, it's, especially for us, we have the 2 locations, soon to be 3 locations. And 2, I think, not to get too into the business side of things, but controlling your message and like, what are we trying to, what are we trying to say? What are we trying to, who we are and stuff. And it's, you get in a room with some PR people and they're like, what about if we did a parade, or what if we did, and you're just like, this has nothing to do with
terrible idea.
Who we are, or our business or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we open a food truck February 2015. And then now 5 years, a little over 5 years later, have 30,000. How did that happen?
Oh man. Well, these are interesting questions. First of all, you just have to post detailed things about what you have, your menu, all that stuff, make it look really good. But then also you want to target some larger, what are they called? Accounts, influencers that'll repost your stuff. I think, was it like a year ago, we got reposted by, I believe, Old Row on Instagram.
Just like a barstool.
It was a video.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a video of brisket slicing, which they, likened it unto porn.
Yeah.
But it was really funny.
Brisket
and
porn,
so,
I think, was the, yeah.
And so anyway, we got a ton of followers off that, but it's just little things like that. The Fort Worth Visitors Bureau just sponsored us on Infatuation, which is a huge, I think they almost have like 1 million followers. So things like that are how you get out there for sure.
But kind of, not really a collab, but just kind of like, you're like, oh, this is, this brand or this type of thing appreciates what we do or whatever. And so you're kind of just posting. And 2, I think that's it. Like, one thing that I've seen that you've been really successful with is somebody will come to the restaurant, they'll do an Instagram where they have a ton of photos or a video or something. And then you'll take that. I don't do anything. You'll take that and then repost it with like a different caption or something or some info. So too, like that connects the person, more because they're like, oh, this is awesome. This is,
take a good photo. You might see it reposted.
Yeah. But it's like people, if they're posting a thing, then it's like, I like this. I want people to see that I'm here, that I'm eating this or whatever. And you can share it and then, we'll repost or whatever. And then they're stoked about it. They're like, oh my God, Heim Barbecue shared my, my thing. On Twitter, usually I'll just, harass people, if they have a different opinion. No, I'm just kidding.
So what do you do, sir?
What do I do with social media?
In general? Just in general. Who are you?
I don't know.
Who are you?
I have no idea. I think that's, and 2 will do barbecue classes and other stuff, recently. And we were talking in one the other day, and it was like my role has changed so much.
100%. Yeah.
And both of us. But now, when all the COVID, was really bad and stuff, and we're like, God, we might have to lay some people off or furlough or whatever. It's like we have over 100 employees, and we're about to hire a ton for Dallas. And then too, when you think about their families and you think about everything else that's involved and all of that, it's crazy. And so it's, am I in the smokehouse every day cooking brisket? No. I mean, everybody wants to think that, and, that's how it is. But, I can't do that and do everything else and all of that that's involved with our business now and everything we have going on. But I'm heavily involved more than anything with the smokehouse.
Of course,
I don't really mess with, front of house or catering side of sales things or this or that. That's more your ballpark on top of everything else. But there's not a ton of creativity, for those guys. This is how we do things.
Right.
And, the goal is consistency more than anything. And when no offense to a burger place, but if you're doing burgers or something like that, it's a little easier for us. We really wanted to do, what you could call craft barbecue or something like that, but scale it, to where it's accessible, to where you don't have to stand in line for 3 hours. You don't have to,
I got a question about that.
Okay.
Why don't we sell out at noon?
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's a long answer. What's your thinking? What about the lines and whatnot?
I think, and so my opinion too has changed a lot. I think since we started, because people for the most part don't know the whole story. I mean, the OG, Heim P1s.
Yeah. The Hattie Streeters.
The Hattie Streeters.
Yeah.
They know the whole deal.
Meat Club
members.
Meat Club originals.
Pop-ups. But we opened the food truck with $100 in our bank account, and we had no money. And it was a terrible way to open a business. It's like I don't recommend that. But at the time, it was just kind of like I had been laid off. You still had a good job working, but it was like, let's go for it and follow our dreams and what we're passionate about.
Take the leap of faith.
And I had some experience. We had experience from doing our pop-up dinners, Teeny Meat Club, cooking with a bunch of really talented pit masters in Austin and some other places. And, it was cool. And so when we opened, it was kind of like, we just need to like pay our light bill.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like no joke.
We're just trying to make it by. And so, it was awesome. But, within a month or two, we were filling the smoker we had as full as you could possibly do.
Was it 500?
It's really like it's not a 250. I think it was too small. It was like in between a 250 and a 500 that my uncle welded together back in the day. And so we're pretty small. You could
workhorse, man.
Yeah.
That thing was awesome.
You could put like 8 briskets in it, I think was tops. And then I got to the point where I kind of extended the shelf and did a thing so we could do like 9 briskets, 10 briskets, and a couple pork butts.
Yeah, because that was with other meats on there.
Yeah, and then
not just brisket.
And then that's a whole nother thing. But so very quickly into us being open in the food truck, once people, heard about us and we got more popular, we were selling out.
Right.
And we were selling out before we even opened. And we would have customers that were awesome. A lot of those customers still come today to our restaurants who would show up, and it got to the point where we have to put a sign out because we could serve 50, 60 people, I think, with just the first smoker.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, if you're past this person in line, I need you to tell everyone else that they're not going to get food if they show up.
So much to ask for that kind soul that would do that for us.
Yeah.
A different person every day. Thank you if you ever held the last man standing sign.
And people would pass the sign, you remember? And we're like, you can't do it. Like,
I'd have
that's
to go
point.
out and be like, I'm so sorry. You can't do that.
But so again, I'm a long way around answering your question. And then we were like, and then it became, people were showing up 7 a.m. to wait until 11 until we could open. And that's cool or whatever. But, I just don't agree with that philosophy. And so we were literally like, if you give me another smoker, we'll cook more barbecue.
Right.
Like we have $0. Every dollar that we're making, we're buying dog food and reinvesting into this business.
We are, yeah.
And we had a 99 two-door Honda Civic.
Dude, best car I've ever had. Rest in peace. Yeah. Probably still going somewhere, honestly.
Metallic green with the rims, kind of like Fast and the Furious rims.
Yeah.
Was awesome.
Paid all cash for it.
But straight cash. But we, it was, you know, this is not like our business philosophy. We would love to be able to pay our bills and do more. And luckily we got another smoker from a friend that let us kind of borrow his. So then we sort of doubled in capacity. And the next day it didn't matter.
Still
it wasn't
sold
enough.
out.
And which was great and awesome. But, you know, at that point, then maybe 100, 120 people we could serve. And we were doing
and we
that.
did the Kickstarter. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was for 1,000 gallon that we bought from Aaron Franklin.
We did, yeah. Drug it out of his farm and the trailer.
Yeah,
too.
and the
Gave us
trailer.
the trailer. But we got 1,000 gallon tank and then had, I don't think Pallet Smart's still around, are they? Pallet Smart?
I'm not sure.
But the guys at Pallet Smart, super awesome. They kind of welded a smoker to our design, but that was a Kickstarter that we raised.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think like 7,500 was what we were going for. And we set the Kickstarter up and then we hit that in
like hours.
Yeah,
like
3
2 hours or something. Yeah.
I remember driving to Benny Keith will call, and I think you called me and were like, have you seen the Kickstarter? This is insane. And
so insane.
So then we got, you know, that tripled, quadrupled what we could cook. And that was kind of, I'm jumping ahead, but back to your question, I guess, to me, philosophically, restaurants are for the people, right?
Right.
Like
people business, not food.
And you feel differently if you're a chef, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a chef. I don't consider myself a chef, you know, I think, but to me, what I saw, and there was a bunch of instances that kind of shaped this idea, but you know, we're not, you know, it's cool and it's ego or whatever. Like, oh man, we got the longest line and people wait, whatever. You're not serving your customers well in doing that, and you're not. You know, it's exclusive.
I agree.
It's not inclusive, and. You know, it was me and you, and then we had a guy, Rowdy, that we hired, and that was our only employee. And so the three of us, you know, literally doing everything we could to cook the most food, to do all that, and it still wasn't enough. And so when we, you know, got investors to open on Magnolia, open our first restaurant, you know, going into it, the idea was, and this was like novel for craft barbecue at the time, but we want to have a bar.
Yeah.
We want to have craft cocktails. We want to have drinks. We want to have a thing where you can come and just sit, whether or not you care about barbecue. We want to have other stuff on the menu that's not just, you know, barbecue, to where, too, especially if we sell out, we have something else that we can offer people, the, you know, whatever.
Because we're keeping the doors open regardless if there's a sellout or not.
Yeah. And it was wild ass when we started, and we were selling out still at Magnolia, but the idea was, you know, we're in this business to make people happy.
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about barbecue. You're passionate, I'd say, about barbecue, but you're more passionate about, you know, hospitality, making people happy. That's where you get, you know, your energy, and I don't, but that's, you know,
why we're a good team, babe.
Yeah. But, just the idea of, okay, you know, people that I really respect, Aaron Franklin, Wayne Miller, Louis Miller, you know, all those guys, and what they do, and kind of, you know, we wouldn't be here without those guys and everything. And there's a million other people that I didn't just name, but I should. But the point was, can we do that level of barbecue, but can we do it all day?
Yeah.
And can we do it 7 days a week or 6 days a week or whatever, to where it's not just a 1-2 day a week thing, just open for lunch. You got to stay for 3-4 hours. You got to do all this.
I think that was a goal from the beginning. Like the food truck
we were begging to be able to cook more.
It started out as, like you said, like we're trying to keep the lights on, not making real money. And then it turned into where it was almost like a disservice.
Yeah.
And I, thinking back on those days, there was people that would come and like make a day out of it. And it was like the sweetest thing.
So cool.
So cool. Bring your like whole fam. The kids are running around throwing a football and like you're waiting in line with like a Bloody Mary. And it's just awesome. Drunk, like it was, I mean, like that's a good freaking Saturday.
Yeah.
But it was also like this sense of we were falling short as restaurateurs or whatever we are. We weren't servicing our community as well as we could. And so that's where the drive, I think, came, from the food truck to Mags to Riv. It was like, how do we do it and make it better, make it more accessible? And then, and I'm getting ahead, but like following us currently, we've got Dallas like legit on the horizon in like a couple of weeks. Right. Hopefully, I don't know what the date is, but
coming soon.
That's a different area, different city, Metroplex still, but it's broad. And so I think, I don't know, I'm the same. The lines are cool and nothing against anyone that has the lines.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just for us.
And in a lot of places,
not for us.
A lot of places have to do that.
And a lot of places, I still see on like social sometimes that people like almost, I don't think have still come to either of our shops because they think there is still this huge, massive line, which there is.
We still see it. Somebody the other day wrote something.
Yeah, there is still a line. That's like how we do our service. Right. But the goal would be 20 minutes and less, I would say.
Yeah.
Not even 20 minutes.
I mean, ideally, that's the river is 7,500 square feet.
River.
And it's a huge patio and all that. And so, jumping ahead too, that was like, it's all by design to where.
Exactly.
Can we do that level of barbecue, but can we provide the other stuff with the bar, with all the other, things and too, like a place that's in, East Texas or something, like I think of our friend Stephen Joseph, he's doing awesome barbecue.
Yeah.
You put that place in Dallas, Houston, whatever, it's going to be one of the best. He's limited on hours because there's not a lot of people in Jefferson, Texas, and so.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Salt of the earth for sure.
Not knocking anything anybody's doing, but I think too, for me, and honestly, one of the biggest deals, and this is going to bother me probably bringing it up, but we closed. And so there's a lot of places too, you'll see close, that have one employee or two employees or whatever. We closed down because my grandfather was in hospice. You remember this?
Yeah.
And my grandfather's father figure to me is one of the reasons I love barbecue, all that stuff. So we closed down to be with him. And I got a private Facebook message, if I remember. Private Facebook message for somebody that I don't know. Basically telling us how much we suck and how terrible we were and how awful. They've tried to come to the restaurant 3 to 4 times. It was this older gentleman. And, we're terrible. This is a stupid business model and all this. Can't believe you guys would close. I have to blah, blah, blah. Everything the worst. And I love the ribs at this place in town. And so I'm going to keep going there because I can always get them wherever. And that was the line. That was my line.
But crossed it.
But I mean, even from...
But we closed because we had to go be with family because it was not great.
I received that message sitting next to my grandfather's deathbed. You know what I mean? And that was so impactful in a lot of ways. Mainly because I think that was the line, and we talk about this where we see a lot of these guys that are newer business owners or something like that who... post a negative review. Do you believe this guy? Like they'll post a negative review, like whatever, do you believe this guy said this about my food or about my business or whatever? And that's how we were though.
It started like that. I am such a different mindset now on that.
Because you're so, and even now we feel this way, but like I'm saying, this is the line, how my mindset has changed, that at that point you really are every single customer that comes in, like, I need you to like this place. I need you to tell other people, like, our life depends on it. Like, our rent, our everything depends on it. And you take it personally, man. And there was a guy, I still remember that guy that, like, we didn't have sauce. We were out of sauce, and literally he walked away, and I go, we're going to get a 1-star on Yelp. I guarantee you. And 6 hours later, he gave us a 1-star review about how we suck and everything's terrible. That was when I was
hand making sauce every single day.
Like gallons of sauce every day. But I guess my point is, like, you know, that was the line for me of, this person is so upset and they're so disappointed that they can't get our food. And I'm not trying to placate him or trying to saying that this is why, because this one, you know, old asshole, you know, sent me a rude message. But you're that upset that you can't get what we're selling.
I mean, that's like the runway, bro. Like, that's where you take off.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's where we were like, then we just need to do this. Like, we gotta, like, we're all in at this point. If we went away, it's not an option.
Right. And and again, you know, and I've talked about this a couple times, but it's like, I don't want to cater to that person, you know, because he's a piece of human garbage. I just want to make that clear. But
I'm sure he's listening to your Heim Time podcast.
He's probably looking in my windows at home now. But the point was of just, what are we doing? This is great, and we were having success, but we were literally killing ourselves working God knows how many hours and everything we could. And that was kind of the start of where we were looking at, okay, let's open a restaurant, let's do some other stuff. But I guess my point, and this is again why I can never answer a question straight, but I don't want to be what that guy thinks we are or we were. You know what I mean?
Unattainable.
Just the ego. The ego that you would have to, you guys only, you're open, because
we're not, that's what I guess you could say we were portrayed that way. Like, oh, this food truck is so rare, but like our goal and our heart and our joy was to serve and to give and to be able to give that food to people. And then when you have that reaction, you're almost like, wow, dude, that goes completely against what I've been pushing for and my passion. And it breaks you down over time.
And two, that's not who we were.
No.
That wasn't our goal. And so again, that's why it was impactful. And I just want to make it perfectly clear that guy's a piece of garbage. But, for me, it was, it's awesome. Our goal is to sell out of food every day, but to do it at like 8:30 at night.
Right.
And that's very, very hard to do.
When you're out of barbecue, you got Heim burgers, chicken wings,
you got other
corn
stuff.
Dogs. You got it.
Yeah, we're the corn dog kings now, apparently.
I don't know. I don't want to sound like, because it kind of sounds like we're like, oh, that food truck or whatever. But it's not. I wouldn't say that. Would I do it again? No. But
it's hard work.
It's the hardest work I've ever done. But I would say I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no possible way we could have built the following. And like, earlier we were talking about followers and social media, and that's where it started. I mean, if you go back, it's still the same Instagram. If you go back, it's like some budget photos that we have on there that are like, us cooking in our backyard or whatever, but it all set the foundation for where we are today. And you can't ever, like, it's the most how do you say invaluable? Valuable? Yeah.
Invaluable? I don't know. That sounds right.
Thing Paul, ever.
Invaluable, valuable. You got any invaluable? Maybe.
I don't know.
I completely agree. And so I think that's, do we want to sell out? Yeah, that's awesome. But I think, our goal and what we talk about with managers and everything, and we're getting deep.
Dude, this is touching the feels, honestly.
Is we want to create restaurants that are as inclusive as possible. Our goal is excellent food. It used to be excellent barbecue, but now we do all this other stuff. So it's excellent food, whatever we do. If we serve coleslaw, I want it to be the best coleslaw. If we serve a corn dog, I want it to be the best corn dog we can do. But we want to pair that with gracious hospitality. That's
Yep.
a Danny Meyer term.
Sponsor us.
Please. Yeah, that'd be awesome if he'd come on.
Oh, Danny, come on.
Wildest dreams. But yeah, so anyway, it's cool. And I think there are times where you have to do that in places that have one employee, or it's, husband and wife team, and you're doing it and you're starting out, it is what it is. But I think too, every time I've seen where people become successful or whatever, then you can't do it. You can't keep up, because if you just keep doing it that way, you're building, you're growing and all that, but you're almost, new customers and people that are interested can't get it.
I mean, we talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
And you touched on it earlier about how our roles have changed.
Yeah.
I'm not baking potatoes personally every single day.
Hand mixing.
And I'm not cashiering. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
So what's the line then? Because I think that's the hard part of, so when did you feel comfortable kind of?
So that's what I was going to ask you.
All right.
When do you feel, or like at what point do you know that you're still like overseeing everything? You're still guiding Gentle Pressure, Danny Meyer. We're still just like the bosses basically, but at
watching
what
cameras
point,
every time we're not there. Hawkeye.
My staff needs to watch this. I do have all of the cameras on my phone. But like what point are you okay with saying like, I can't do this every single day? Because I think it still goes back to like the line, the potential is so much greater than me holding the reins on this cashier drawer every single day, that like I need to focus on the big picture things and the possibilities. And I think that's where you and I have like been able to be successful.
Yeah.
Is because we do see the big picture. But what I was going to ask you too was like, at what, like, did you, and like, I probably know the answer, but when we started the food truck, was your goal to go into a restaurant and to be like, did you think, hey, I'm going to have 3 restaurants by 2020?
I think yes and no, because I always dreamed from, the first brisket I cooked, I was 12. And so I never thought about being like working in a restaurant, opening a restaurant, anything like that, really, until we started doing our pop-up dinners.
Right.
Because barbecue was always a huge part of my life, and cooking it, and in college and high school, when we got married and then we moved back, like we would do it. I would cook for church lunches and things like that. But it was always just like obsession of mine. It was just
like, can I make this
did.
Brisket better than last time?
Yeah. And just, I want that. I enjoy this. And two, this is the thing that's helped me become better in business, I think. But what I love about what we do is cooking food, creating something, whether it's like as stupid as our corn dogs or whatever.
Hey, those things aren't stupid.
Creating things, creating food, that type of stuff, serving it to people, and then them enjoying it.
Right.
And I hate pretty much everything.
You get
else
a kick out of that for sure.
I pretty much everything else I hate about. There's just a lot involved, and so too, that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I was passionate about back then. So once we started doing the podcast pop-ups, once we've been talking a lot today. Once we started doing the pop-up dinners kind of things, and then too, to be honest, the biggest thing was Aaron Franklin.
Yeah,
like literally, because I saw when I was 12 and cooking barbecue in my backyard, trying to get my grandfather to like me, which he did, but
he loved you.
He loved me, but, just like, isn't this, cool? This is what he does. I'm trying to emulate him. Daniel Vaughn, who's the Texas Monthly barbecue editor at the time, had a blog where he would just drive around to different barbecue places. I think this is when I was in college.
Yeah.
So this is maybe 15 years ago or something. I don't know if it was that long ago, but I remember he went to Franklin and posted about it and a whole thing, and he gave him like 6 stars, which was like the most he'd ever done. And I was like, this is crazy. And you and I had been dating. We've been dating for half of my life, but we weren't married or anything. And it was like, it's this one guy and his wife, and they have a super cool hipster food truck in Austin. And that was before they were in the restaurant even, and whatever. And I was like, that's the life, man. Not knowing
now
the amount of work
what it really takes
and everything to be where Aaron and Stacy are at right now. But that was like, oh wow, this is like maybe something you can do and do it kind of like a lot of what we do, we try to emulate them. They open the food truck with very little money. His story is crazy of how everything they got started and stuff, and so that was another kind of inspiration thing of, like I could turn this maybe into a business. And then the pop-ups were great. And then the biggest thing was when we were able to cook with John Lewis and Rodney Scott, some other guys, Sam Jones, Aaron, a bunch of other people, and seeing that side of it and like, man, this is really cool, the business side of it. But then I got laid off from my job in Fort Worth, and we had moved back, and you really were kind of like, just go for it, and try to follow our dreams of this and opening the food truck and that whole story. And so I think again, to answer your question with a very long answer, my dream was something of like, wow, we could open a restaurant. We could do something creative that's different than kind of what everybody else is doing. But, the tenets are the same of really, really great barbecue with great service, with all this stuff. And then, whether it's a God thing or whatever, where we're at now, what we've been blessed with was way more than I ever imagined.
Same.
And Magnolia was even like...
Mags was outrageous.
This is our dream restaurant.
Cutest little button restaurant I've ever seen. Still. Ugh.
Yeah. But even that, and I know you feel the same way, but it's like just opening there, some of our good friends... I don't know if I should say their name, but some of our good friends were the first people in line. They waited
3 a.m.
forever. They waited at 3 a.m.
Popping champagne bottles at 3 a.m.
Awesome. Incredible.
In line.
But I remember opening the door, and then you were standing there, and then she, Emily is her name.
Emily.
Came in, and you guys immediately started crying.
Bawled my eyes out.
And we're like hugging and stuff. And I'm sure everyone else in line's like, what is going on here? Whatever.
No, those people were hardcore too. The first 50 people were like hardcore.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess I bring that up because it was like, even in that moment, we're like, this is as good as it'll be. Not in a negative way, but this is like awesome.
It was like peak, man.
We have our own restaurant. Yeah. We, this is exactly how it took longer than we wanted, all that stuff. My mother works for us. We were able to, provide a job for her and a bunch of other people that we care about.
But just that.
And then that compared to where we're at now is like, there's so many other crazy things going on and all that. So
yeah,
I guess my point is that was like beyond what I even thought. And, our what we look at for growth or whatever is like, a number of things, but one of the coolest parts about opening the river and other stuff was, Magnolia was packed. It was crazy. We felt like, okay, again, we're not serving our customers well. Like, can we open another spot?
Same as a food truck feel.
How can we, and I think, and you've talked about this, but like what, looking at the pop-up is like the start. Pop-up to food truck to Magnolia to river. Every step of the way, I think we try to, how can we make this better? How can we like fine tune and really look at what are our customers experiencing? What are they going through? What's important to them? And then we make, those changes.
Yeah.
And so that leads to a number of our decisions, but yes, because it was literally all I've thought about for the last like 15 years of my life or whatever is opening a barbecue place in some capacity. But did I ever think we would be where we're at now and everything going on? No.
Well, yeah. No, I agree. And also, this is probably, I don't know, but when you're a food truck and you're like busting your balls just to get 8 briskets out the door, like those issues now, those are still, like, we still see issues regardless of what it is and the size or the amount of staff we have. So like, if you are in a food truck and you are, you know, hoping to scale it, like, just keep pursuing it if it's your true passion.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be difficult, but I would say that, like, we still deal with, like, extremely difficult things just the same way as when we were in the food truck.
Yeah.
So, like, don't be like, this is too hard, or I don't want to do it, or today is too much, because I guess you could say this isn't that encouraging, I guess, but it doesn't get easier, but it's like, it's all about your passion and your drive, and also helping people, serving people. You get, like, I get a crazy high off of people, you know, eating our food, and I know you do too. And our staff, like I remember one of our, a guy that worked for us had like a really tough time, had gone through some, like, you know, drugs and alcohol and stuff, and in the past came to us, and we gave him a job. And I remember he was riding the bus. He was riding the bus to Magnolia for his shifts. And I remember one day he's like, Emma, come outside. And I went outside, and he had purchased a little, like, silver car.
I know.
And it was like
now.
a
convertible, actually.
No.
Oh,
First, it was a Chevy Cruze.
Okay.
And I just remember, like, the joy of that. And there's you just have to weigh out, like, man, that was so cool. That guy was able to purchase that because we were able to give him a job and, like, saw potential in him and gave him a chance. And now he's, like, finished law school or something like that. And, you know,
he actually left us to go back to law school. That was an incredible story.
So it's also like those difficult times are kind of outweighed by those wonderful, shiny times where you can see really the success in people and stuff. So
yeah, and to your point, your problems and your issues change, but they never go away.
Exactly. I guess that's a good way of saying it.
Dealing with different stuff now, and I think too, food truck, any kind of small business owner, especially now with COVID and all that, it just feels like you know. Like, I think of a wave. You're just standing in the
weight
ocean
of the world.
And you're literally, and at that time, are we thinking about opening 3 restaurants, doing all this? No, you're like, I got to make this banana pudding or some old man is going to yell at me, you know, or something, like, you know, whatever. It's just hyper focus. And that's how you have to be. But then, you know, the encouraging part of that, and I think for us, part of it was being in Fort Worth, my hometown, you know, where you're from, and like, people in Fort Worth support.
They support hard. Yeah,
and
they do.
And I think a lot of places are like this. Some aren't, but you see people that are working, you see people that are really trying to get after it and do it and are passionate, and people support that. And I think that was our biggest stuff, was like, people come to the food truck and they're like, you know, we can barely stand up because we've been working and haven't sleeping. I'm sleeping in the bar, sleeping in our minivan that we got borrowed from your brother or whatever. It's like,
good times, man.
Yeah, crazy. So
but keep at it if you're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's very difficult but doable if you have the drive.
Well, I think too, the other side of it is just have like a rich relative. That's
I always thought, we always joked like, man, I wish our rich uncle would just write us a check for $500,000.
Yeah.
We don't have that. So
that's the other way to
we had to go a different route.
Start a business. But, you know, but seriously, that's, if you're passionate, that's a better way to do it. Is have more capital.
Get you where you're trying to go.
But yeah, it's been crazy. But I think any of these questions you want to go, the one I wanted to ask you, because, you know, we were kind of talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
How do you deal with...
I knew you were going to ask me this.
How do you deal with... Because you do our social media and you do a lot of all of that stuff, really. How do you deal with a poor customer review or kind of a negative review? And two, I know, like...
you mean like a legit this like genuinely sucked and I need you guys to know about it review, or you mean like crazy?
Whatever. I think like the corn dog thing, for example, the other day, we had a lady that emailed us instead of Yelping or something, which
Thank
I
you. We
always
love to handle it ourselves.
In any restaurant or small business, tell the manager. Tell the manager, don't review or do, I mean, whatever, especially in the middle of COVID, dude. But
why are you bringing this up?
Because I'm pissed about it, but I'm glad that she did it. Right. So she wrote us an email, which was awesome. But she was like,
longtime follower,
come to the restaurant a lot, whatever, spend a bunch of money, which I totally get. If you're going out to a restaurant and, times are tough right now, we want it to be perfect. And like, so for example, she sent a photo of the corn dog that looked like it had been cooked for 5 hours.
Yeah.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Ever.
And I don't want to get into why I want to fire everybody who was on shift and all that, because that upsets me because, we want everything to be perfect and all that. But that should have never left the kitchen.
Right.
It should have never been bagged.
Right.
It should have never gotten into her hand for her to take it home and all of that. But thank God she messaged us and let us know. And sent a photo and stuff. So we're like, oh, this is definitely legit. Like that's the worst thing I've ever seen. How do you handle that?
Well, yeah, these are great questions.
Thank you.
You got to listen to the person at first. So what I've learned and what I think you've learned also is like people want to be heard.
Right.
And so listening to someone and their complaint is like the number one thing. You don't have to talk over them. You're not trying to like correct the situation at the beginning. Thank them for coming.
And before you get to to move on from listen.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, and we've talked about this, is because they're upset.
They're upset.
And whether or not, in this case, we definitely screwed up on the corn.
Yeah, it was
everything
the
else
worst
looked good.
corn dog I've ever seen in my
life. The potato
life.
salad looked good, but this was like the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So they're upset.
They're
upset. Spent
upset.
Money, if you, whatever your business is, you maybe, in this case, we definitely messed up. In some cases, maybe you didn't mess up. Maybe it was just someone saw a situation a different way than how you did. But to my point is, either way, whether you did it or you didn't do it, the person is upset. And so listening is,
and at the end of the day, they still spent money with us.
Right.
So listening is the biggest part, and understanding their issue. If you ask my staff right now, I'm big on empathy. Yeah. That's my biggest push, my
just
drive.
Had a whole meeting about it.
Yeah. Hospitality, you can't, in my opinion, there's hospitality, there's customer service, both different. We'll talk about that maybe one day. But empathy, you can't be successful without. And I think that's even more severe right now with COVID because you have people coming in with the masks and like anti-maskers or, people with disabilities, and how do you handle that? And so you have to almost like put yourself in their shoes. You can't just brush it off or be like, you have to wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. And so,
or like we've talked about, that person could have just left the hospital.
No,
they could have had something.
They could have just gotten divorced. They could have just gotten in a car wreck. They could have, you just never know what someone's going through. And so kindness and empathy goes super far.
And they may come into the restaurant and already, be in a bad space, have a bad day or whatever. So even the slightest thing that maybe wasn't intentional, cashier says this, or we're out of a food item or something, and it just compounds onto that thing they're dealing with. But empathy, 100%.
But so like in what I'm trying to get to is like, if you got a corn dog that was so burnt and overdone and terrible looking, how would you feel?
Yeah.
It's a $6.99 corn dog. It's a delicious sausage, all that, we try to do the best possible, wild acre, beer batter, all this stuff. And we take time on it. And so we want it to be received in that way. Like they took time on this. Perfect. And then you get the worst corn dog you've ever gotten. And you're just like,
I'm still upset about it.
I mean, and this is hilarious that we're even talking about corn dogs, but it's like,
whatever.
how would you feel if you got that? And so when I get
I'd
an
be pissed,
email
yeah.
or a message or something, I try to think about that. The other day, this sweet man was like, I didn't get eggs in my breakfast tacos. And I was like, how did we skip eggs on your breakfast tacos?
There's 2 ingredients.
Yeah, literally like a meat and, well, cheese. But like
3
literally like,
yeah.
come on.
I know.
So it was just like, you know, in my opinion, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying this works for other companies or businesses because I handle situations differently according to what I think our Heim standard is. Trademark. But I'm just kidding. But like you just got to put yourself in their shoes
Right.
and then handle it from there. So
you said listen, thank.
Yeah.
Thanking them for bringing it up.
Thank yous are huge.
Yeah.
And then honestly, sometimes you got to just eat crow and take it. But then a lot of the times I've explained to people like why we do things the way we do, why our brisket's going to be a little bit more pricey than maybe a place that has like 400 locations, and like why our techniques are different and why we use the wood we use and all of these things. And if you actually get on the same level and like and like explain things, then like it actually becomes a very beneficial conversation.
Right.
You know? So,
because I think too, that goes back to a lot of times, and some people, you're not going to win.
No, and sometimes I have to sleep on it because I'll blow up. So.
Well, but a lot of people will respond or review or whatever, and you know, who's the pink Cadillac? Mary Kay.
Yeah, Mary Kay.
I think Mary Kay had a saying where it was like everyone you meet has a sign around their neck saying "Acknowledge me."
Right,
and
that's so true.
That's how people are when they come in the restaurant. And, you know, it may be just a guy taking his family out and he's worked all week and he's just trying to get a meal. It may be somebody who's, you know, gone to every barbecue place in Texas that wants to compare and contrast and all that. And everybody has, you know, their thing. And so it's our responsibility to try to give them the best food, the best service we can. And it sucks when you fall short. But I guess to my point of, sometimes those complaints and stuff, your response, and you do a great job of this, but literally just being like, I hear you.
Yes.
We messed up.
I appreciate you sending me this information.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've said it too, like it helps us grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to know when my corn dogs aren't perfect.
Yeah. And that's another issue of who cooked it, who served it.
Right. That's your end.
That's the part where, I don't have empathy. I've learned I have no emotions in business, and so I'm more concerned with how that. But I think you do a great job of it. I think to contrast, our friend Jay Jerrier has another interesting.
Dude, we got to get Jay Jerrier on here.
Literally posting like
you could
people's
bring some
reviews and,
Zoli's while you're here. That'd be great.
Yeah, Cane Rosso and they're great, but yeah, they have a different style. Any other questions about that?
No.
I mean, should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on because I don't want to talk about sad
this
stuff.
This is taking a while now. I'm going to cry in here.
Let's get to the listener questions.
Paul, are we good? We're good. Listener question. F1 talk? You want to talk about F1?
F1.
Formula One?
Dude,
I had it on there.
My new passion.
We're big fans.
F1.
We had some friends that told us to watch the Netflix series Drive to Survive.
Yeah, greatest series ever.
Awesome. And we're not necessarily racing fans. We don't follow NASCAR.
No, not that kind of. But I am now.
But it's awesome. There's Formula One. There's 10 teams. There's 2 drivers per team. It's just
Cars
crazy.
Are so dope.
Yeah, the Netflix thing too. It's like reality TV. You know, it's kind of like behind the scenes, whatever. It has the racing and all
but
this
that
stuff.
was just like the gateway drug to get us to literally watch every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. with coffee. Yeah, we're watching F1.
And so so if you don't know, it's these tiny guys driving cars 200 miles an hour at these wild tracks and all that stuff.
But they're like
in the most exotic places.
The best places on earth.
Like Singapore is really cool. They just did Italy. They just did the Tuscany race.
Yeah, Tuscany.
Which was awesome. But we're big fans, so we're going to talk about it whether you like it or not. Who's your favorite driver?
Dude, that's really rough because, you know, I sometimes think about it in teams and not just driver.
Right.
You know, personally, I'm a Ferrari fan, but they've like really let me down. And is it Leclerc?
Leclerc.
So cute. Sorry, Trav, but he's like probably like 1 inch tall. But he's so cute.
Can't grow facial hair.
Yeah, but like that does, you know, his cuteness has no ranking on my ranks. Like it doesn't like weigh any.
I mean, that probably has to factor in, but
I really like them. I like Hamilton a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a big Mercedes fan, but it's kind of like watching the Yankees or something. It's like they're gonna win.
Yeah.
Because they're the best. It's like we're the best. What does he say in Talladega Nights? Like, I wake up.
I'm the best there is.
So it's like that's kind of Hamilton, which I totally respect. I know he had like a difficult growing up life, didn't really come from much.
Right, I get it.
But like now he's making mills. Counting dollar bills.
Million, I think last year. He is awesome though, and what's cool about Hamilton, like this week he won and he wore, you know, a Breonna Taylor shirt, and he's the only African American or African English. I think he's English.
I believe.
But the only black driver, and so he's been leading the charge on that, and that's cool to see. But it is like rooting for the Yankees a little bit. They're just way better than anyone else.
But what was that 90th win this weekend for him? I think he's got 10 more.
It's like he's probably the best of all time, but he's also in a better car than anyone.
Yeah, he has advantages that, like, let's say Williams. Sweet Williams. Sweet Williams.
Struggling.
They're not going to have the same quality.
No, they don't have the budget, right? Budget's a big deal, which is kind of like baseball. They just sold,
though.
Because the Rangers don't have the budget that the Yankees do.
Right.
All that stuff.
Their car, it's just like the best. But I don't want to like ruin it for anyone, but like 2 weeks ago.
Spoilers, whatever.
2 weeks ago was like someone other than, or last week. Someone other than Hamilton won, and it was like awesome. Like I was like, hell yeah, this is the best. So it's kind of
that's fun.
Both sides of it.
And I think too, next year they're putting in there's friends of ours that know more about it than we do. We just like to watch it, but that they're going to try to make it more competitive. So it's a little more, you know, the lower teams actually have a chance, like Haas, Gunther, their team.
Man. Yeah. Who's your favorite team or driver?
You know, I was rooting for McLaren at the start of the year. And then
classic.
Lando Norris, great name for a driver. Like him. I like Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
Very handsome.
I like
Spanish
his little cousin that's his manager.
Yeah. And if you watch the Drive to Survive, that's kind of too why I like them, because they're just cool. And they did great. Carlos got P3, P2 last week, I think. That's a big deal. So I'd say McLaren. I think they're doing pretty good this year. I love Ferrari, right? I mean, you got the colors, everything.
I just need them to up their game.
I have a soft spot in my heart for Haas because they're the only American team. Gunther. But their drivers are trash. Their drivers are
little
so
romaine
bad.
lettuce needs to get out of there.
And two, we had talked about when things get a little less busy, you're going to do some training. You're going to do some racing.
I'm going to not like F1 level, but my goal, I want to be like, I want to go fast.
You like to go fast. You like to drive.
I like to drive pretty fast. There's some tracks I've looked up. If we ever get to go to like Vegas again, I think it's called like Extreme Racing.
Yeah.
And I know that there's some places like local,
right?
But I just feel like driving race cars in Vegas sounds really fun.
Sounds
so
awesome.
I want to be like proficient in race cars for sure.
I think just from riding to the grocery store with you could do it. I think you have a lot of.
You know, I like to go faster than grandpas. So no offense to any grandpas out there, you guys are the best. Thanks for getting us here.
So anyway, that was F1 talk. I was thinking we should bring up the Stars, but we don't know anything about
I just
hockey.
know that I've been to one game one time, and it
Fun.
was the best time of my life.
Very
Hockey
fun.
games are really fun.
And the Stars won, are winning.
Yeah, 3-1.
So
I think is the series.
That was hockey talk. So let's move on. Listener question. So too, I don't know if all of the podcasts are going to be this long. We're just trying to figure out what the hell we're doing for the most part. But we had some listener questions from our Twitter, Heim Time Podcast, at Heim Time Podcast. Please reach out to us on that. Also, we're going to put this on YouTube. We're going to put this on some other podcast stuff. Drop us a review, drop us some likes, all those things. Whatever it is the kids are doing these days,
Speaking of grandpas.
If you get on your Zanga or MySpace, I think Paul's going to put this on MySpace for us. So, we're excited about that, but, reach out to us. We'll probably try to ask some questions every week or just see what people want. Business, barbecue, relationship advice, F1, any of that stuff. So, what should we start with?
Don't do like too many barbecue questions.
Okay.
Because we just did a whole hour of barbecue talk.
One, let me see. Smexy at Smexy Mitch. Thank you for your question, sir. Wouldn't it be funny if all of these were just at Boner Jams
09
69 or something? Just the worst
Boner
Twitter
Jams
names.
09.
Yeah. At Smexy Mitch, first recipe method you used that you still use today for the restaurant. And I like that question. You probably have a different response, but for me, the first iteration, recipe, version, whatever, of the pork rub that we use on our ribs, that we use on our pork butts, our bacon burn ends, I made that when I was 13. And so me and my little brother, who was 5 at the time, literally raided our mom's spice cabinet. And I still remember a big, giant white bowl, plastic bowl she had, and we were just kind of dumping stuff in. And it's changed a lot over time. I used to have cinnamon. I took the cinnamon out. I've done some tweaks and stuff. Yeah, I mean,
cinnamon's
whatever.
Overrated.
But yeah, I mean, that's literally almost 20 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but a version of that still exists, and we use it every day. So great question.
For me now,
did you want to read one?
Banana pudding.
Oh yeah,
is the same as it's always been. And just so I can answer this in case anybody's really wondering, because I get this a lot, there is no mix. It's all by hand. So anyway, just put that down on your journal.
But it's better that way, I think. You don't get the artificial whatever.
This is for you, Trav.
Okay.
How interested are you in having a team in our Fort Worth college baseball division called Heim Barbecue?
Spelled that wrong. And so these guys, this is on Twitter. It's some sort of local baseball thing.
MSCL 17.
And I forget what that stands for. But thanks for your question. I am very interested in having a team, only to the extent of it can be some sort of Jerry Jones type of setup.
What?
And I'm talking about, I want to bring in some ringers. I want to bring in the guys who got kicked out of the major leagues. Maybe they had a drug problem, whatever. That's not a big deal for us, for our team.
No, it will work.
Heim Barbecue, we're here to win. Right. And so, Daryl Strawberry, if he still plays, I don't know, some of those type of guys that, could get on base for us, basically. I want to be very involved with the uniforms. I want to make sure we got the most badass
tie-dye
uniforms. It may be tie-dye, who knows?
It's a high chance.
That's, who's to say, but that would be creative. That would probably scare the other team. They'd be, a little intimidated by us, but I'm interested. I have very, very little money to put towards this, but if there's a way that I could be some sort of manager / owner, some way, as long as
you want to pay us to bring food there.
Yeah, that's another. I mean, we also need to make money. So if there's a way to do that, that's great. But good question. I do want to answer this because this is our buddy R. Guerrero Jr. ask. My question is, what was the biggest obstacle to becoming business owners? How did y'all overcome? #Heim Time fan. Rolando made our logo, Heim Time, and then it looked awesome. Very cool. He also did another corn dog specific logo that we'll probably use. And that was awesome. But he does, if you go to RolandoGuerrero.com, he does logos and does a great job. And he just kind of helped us out with this, but in like a day too.
Yeah.
Like he turned it around
Great
super fast.
Time.
So, great question. So do you want to answer that for Rolando?
Our biggest obstacle?
Yeah.
Money.
I knew you were going to say it. That's what I agree. Yeah.
What is it? Biggest obstacle to becoming a business owner?
I mean, I know you're joking. I would literally say money.
No, money. I mean, see, that's the thing. You can say I've got passion all day long, but then there's also got to be money.
Right.
Which, like we talked about earlier, when the food truck we didn't have, and it was grin and bear it for sure, which is doable.
Yeah.
We are examples that it is doable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, there's just some things that you have to have, whatever business it is, whether you've got a podcast company like we're sitting here. Obviously things have to be purchased, or you have to have sanitary stuff to have a restaurant or a food truck, or gas for a food truck, or whatever it is. Right. So yeah, and
how did you overcome? Just hard work. It just every day was trying
fingers to the bone.
And then too, like, when we opened Magnolia, we got investors that partnered with us on our business, gave us the opportunity to still own it, control it, everything, do literally whatever we want. If we want to put this on the menu, if we want to do this. And so it'd be better to have that person going into starting a business, but if you can find people like that who care about what you're doing, they want to see you grow and help you get there.
Right.
That's invaluable.
I agree.
Trixie Jones at Trixie Jones 2011. She tweets a lot. She's great. McRib, thumbs up or thumbs down? I've never eaten a McRib.
I've never had one either.
Paul, have you had a McRib?
I think I had one when I was like 9.
Okay.
So
and
yeah,
they used to make McRibs back in the day, like at the school cafeteria, I think, didn't they?
Yeah,
Probably.
They had some weird stuff back in
very strange. Like the mashed potatoes were like just add water.
Yeah.
And they were just really fluffy and grainy.
Yeah.
Oh man, take
just
me
add
back.
Water, eggs, those were great.
Not very memorable.
No, hey,
I
their
guess
pizza and their steak fingers were pretty bomb.
Steak
That's true.
fingers.
That's true. Chicken fried steak day at the cafeteria was great. I did want to answer this just because I thought it was a good question. Zero Smoking Man 2. This is what he wrote, so don't get mad at me. It's now clear that government leaders don't want to give the people and small businesses a rescue bill until after the election for political purposes. That's a hell of a statement. What effect will this have on the people and small businesses across the nation? Where do we all go from here? I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
I think we were fortunate enough to get a PPP loan for the business, which without getting into too much detail, we decided not to let anybody go the first part of it. And as a business, we were losing $20,000 a week just to keep everybody employed. And that was not sustainable. But that was when maybe this will blow over, whatever.
Yeah, give it a month. Here we are, 6 months later?
Yeah. And so if we hadn't have gotten the PPP, PE, whatever the hell it's called, I would hope we would still be in business. Maybe not. I mean, that was huge. That helped us pay staff and then stay open. We still weren't making any money, you know, I mean, we were still losing money, but we weren't losing to that extent. So I know, and this is a very personal thing, but I would say that, we talked about, well, this is, if you were Governor Abbott, what would you do? It's like, I don't envy them being in that position and trying to make those decisions on, what's best for public health, but also there's so many businesses that are just completely screwed, and that's terrible. But I can say that, you know, stuff like that has helped. I still would love, you know, there's a Save Our Restaurants hashtag. There's a bunch of stuff for restaurants and bars specifically, that if there was some sort of thing we could get from the government to help out, I mean, I think that would help. But one deal that I saw said probably 90% of family-owned restaurants and bars are going to close.
Wow.
Because of COVID. And
there's just, you can't, I mean, there's nothing you can do. 50% capacity.
Like? No.
Magnolia, so our CO at Magnolia is like 58, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Our seats in Magnolia, we have 24 seats.
Right.
That is, and it is the saddest thing, you know?
And that CO is not really accurate.
It's not.
Like, we've had 80 people in there, you know, before.
We've had
whatever,
like 110
probably more
people in there.
And so too, that's when you're factoring in, there's zero sustainable way for restaurants to run at 50% capacity.
No.
There's just not. There's no way. And I get it, and they're trying to do everything they can to help. But you know, it's a slow death more than anything. And so, you know, I'm hoping that things get better, you know, like he said, you know, waiting till the election, who knows, you know,
or like, where do we go from here? Like, what do you think? Like, I think like how we used to be when we opened, how any, you know, restaurant used to be last year will never be how it is again. There's a new normal, you know, and so.
And everybody's pivoting. Yeah. If you're, you know, trying to be creative right now, you're trying to pivot more takeout, more
creative
to go,
is
online. Yeah.
Holding on.
But yeah, I mean, you know, again, this is the doom and gloom podcast, but a lot of places are going to close. A lot of people are going to lose jobs. It's terrible.
So keep going to them while you can.
I mean, that's the point. Like, if you care about a restaurant, if you care about a bar, there's a lot of bars that are selling booze to go, or t-shirts or merch or whatever. I mean, you know, try to do anything you can to support them. You know, like with us, it's like, if you're coming to our restaurant right now, you're probably struggling too. And so you're making the decision to spend money, and that's huge for us. It means a lot, and why this corn dog thing is so upsetting, because, you know, we want everything to be perfect every time somebody comes in. You know, that's hard. So great question. Thank you. You know, let's move on. There's a bunch more questions that we're not going to get to because we're like an hour, at least an hour, I think. But we'll get into more of that. Please message us on Heim Time Podcast on Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. Review, subscribe, tell your friends, you know, tell your grandmother to share it on Facebook, whatever. So we always do a restaurant spotlight.
Yeah.
And we're getting close to the end, by the way, if you're getting bored. Restaurant spotlight. This week's restaurant spotlight is very special.
I might go there today.
To us. And it is
Lucille's on Camp Bowie. We love Lucille's.
What is Lucille's?
Lucille's was our first date. And it is the cutest building too. First date, and not only first date, but you brought it full circle. The night you proposed to me, we went to dinner at Lucille's.
Smart.
It's so cute, and best martinis, man. And they give you like the little
and mimosas, dude,
pint-sized mimosas. And then the martinis, they give you like this like silver chilled container that you can like continually pour your martinis into your martini glass. I like that. I like that a lot.
Do they serve food here? Because you're all on base.
They have food. What do you recommend there?
My recommendation, they have a ton of really good stuff, but hands down, and Bud Kennedy would probably argue with me on this, but he's wrong. The best chicken fried steak in Fort Worth.
Very good.
The best chicken fried steak in Fort Worth is at Lucille's. It's delicious. It's, you know, like a Frisbee size. You know, everything's made from scratch.
Gravy,
of
man?
course, dude. Extra gravy on the side, man. Come on. Like, bring me a wheelbarrow full is what I'm saying.
I agree.
Mashed potatoes are great. They also do their pizzas really good. You usually go pasta though, right?
Yeah, what do you get? Pasta person from there. But if I'm going to give one recommendation besides martini, I'm going to say the Cherry's Jubilee and the Banana Foster that they make in the middle of the restaurant so that you can see like flames and stuff. It's
I think
the best.
that's on weekends only, but it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I think it is, but it's just a good time when you go there. And for us, obviously, it's sentimental. So
yeah, it's sentimental. It's on Camp Bowie. It's in a building that's been there since the 20s, I think.
Coolest building.
Shout out Lost Restaurants of Fort Worth is a book by Celestina Block. And it's really cool. It has a lot of old photos. I think it was called Dave's, right? It's in the concrete. Steve's. And it was in it's still in the concrete. It says Steve's out front. But it's been
a lot
there.
About Lucille. So.
Yeah, it's been there forever. And it's a really cool, there's a ton of history with that. It's across from the Original, which is one of the oldest Mexican restaurants in town. So it's just cool. We like it. Go there, go to Lucille's. Get it to go, get it on Favor, do whatever. If there is a restaurant that you love, they are struggling right now to stay open, I guarantee you. And so tell them we sent you there. It's awesome. Good stuff. The whole menu's good. Lobsterama, I think they still do that. You know, it's lobster stuff. Fried green tomatoes, very good. So yeah, that's our restaurant spotlight. Lucille's, 4700 Camp Bowie Boulevard. I know you can get it on Favor. I know you can get it some other ways.
There's a lot of ways.
If you're not comfortable, there's a lot of ways.
Do it.
So do you want to do the power rank or I want to talk about Chef's Table? What do you care?
Chef's Table.
Let's do Chef. So normally we'll do a power rank. We won't do it this episode. But
we'll save that.
Yeah, we'll save that because that's a good one. And two, we'll put it out there, see what the listeners think. We're going to power rank Cheetos.
Different types of Cheetos.
Next time.
Okay.
So you got your crunchy, you got your puffs, flaming hot crunchy, pause.
Pause.
I know. I forgot about
Should
pause.
we rank this?
Do you want to do it real quick? Real quick.
Well, wait a minute,
What's
because
your
I don't
number
see
one?
Chester's on there.
But I didn't know if that qualified.
Is it
Is that the same thing? I think it's the same
little
thing.
guy. Same little.
So, flaming hot lime, extra flaming hot. This is off their website, by the way. I had to go to.
Geez, official.
Jalapeno, flaming hot puffs, the baked Cheetos.
Yeah.
And the white cheddar also we've had before. So let's just go top three real quick.
Dang.
We're here. We might as well.
Well, if Chester's involved with like the little...
Chester's hot fries is what you're talking about.
Chester's hot fries are one of my favorite go-tos. Then I'm going to go...
That's number one. That's not what I thought.
What do you think? Puffs?
That makes sense though, because we do like the hot fries.
I like hot fries only when
which isn't a flavor that exists on Earth, right? Flaming hot. It's just like chemicals, but it's delicious.
No, it does make you feel kind of bad inside. But paws are really fun, but you got to find them.
Yeah.
So I would go Chester's hot fries.
Number one.
And then I'm just going to go puffs and then crunch.
Puffs and then regular crunchy.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, this may be a wild card. I'm going to go pause number one.
What?
Yeah.
They're the best texture.
Because it's a balance of puffs, but you get a little more texture with like a crunchy because of the thing. And then it's also just paw shape. So it's awesome.
So cute.
I'm going to go with pause number one. I know that we'll probably lose some listeners over that. That's okay. They can leave. Number two, I'm going to go flaming hot crunchy.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go limon. I'm not going to go extra hot.
Classic.
Just tastes like nuclear power, whatever. Classic flaming hots. And then it was between the white cheddar, which are good.
Those are pretty good.
And if I'm like trying to feel healthy a little bit, like, okay, white cheddar. Regular crunchy.
Regular crunch for
Regular
sure.
crunchy, just something about it.
Those hit different, man. Those are good.
Awesome. Okay, so send us your power rank Cheetos. We're very interested in knowing, what you think. What's your power rank? Paul, do you got anything on that?
Pause, flaming hot crunch, and then regular crunch.
Yeah.
See? Okay.
Because pause is the perfect combination of both crunch.
It's a good mix.
And puff.
I agree.
I'm with you.
Man, I might change.
You can't. You can't.
Oh, man.
No, there's no way.
Cannot be swayed.
Set in stone
No
already.
bandwagons.
We're actually getting tattoos after the show.
Are we getting a little pause?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I am. You're getting a.
I am
hot
too.
for
We are.
everybody.
Oh,
We are.
I could get a little Chester.
Yeah.
You could.
A little Chester.
Yeah. On like your hip, like girls used to get the Playboy bunny. You get like a Chester face.
That guy is cute.
Moving on. The last thing I wanted to talk about, because, and Paul told me not to hit the table, but I keep doing it. If you need something to watch on Netflix, Chef's Table, awesome show. There's a ton of great episodes. Grant Ashatz in Alinea in Chicago, his whole story.
Amazing.
Francis Mallman. Who else? There's a ton of others from the old episodes. Their newest season came out barbecue focused, and it's got two people on there we love. One is Tootsie Tominetz. I think I'm saying that right. From Snow's Barbecue, and Rodney Scott in South Carolina. Two different episodes, but if you're sitting at home, you're listening to this, obviously, so you don't got much going on. Like, you got time to go to Netflix, watch the episode with Miss Tootsie at.
She's awesome
on there. So what is it about? What did you love about it?
Well, I didn't really know her whole story, and obviously, being in the barbecue world, we have heard, seen, hugged.
We've met her
thousands of times at events and whatnot. They portrayed her so well in that, because I felt like who we know is who they showed. Yeah. And like, obviously she's true to herself, so she's going to portray exactly who she is. But it was really cool to see her backstory, because I didn't know like her husband and her had well, I don't want to spoil this, but like they've started out together technically, and
just watch it and then
but it was really cool to see like their partnership and how they started out, because I was like, because I even said to you, I was like, dude, they're like the original husband and wife team, which is what I have on our Instagram, husband and wife team, and like that's really important to us. And I was like, I didn't even know that stuff, and so that was pretty cool. And then
and so she's 85 years old,
85
woman, and still works, I guess.
She's
as a janitor,
custodian during the week. Yeah. And she said Friday night she goes and puts on all the meat, and Saturday morning, people come out and in flocks. I mean,
and
people
it's
show
called
up.
Snow's Barbecue in Lexington. They have been voted the best barbecue in Texas by Texas Monthly. Well deserved. Yeah. And
she's a legend.
She's been doing it forever. It's one of the places too. They're open one day. It's an experience.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's not your restaurant like we're a restaurant or everybody else. It's like, it's a whole, I don't know. It's almost like a religious experience.
It is.
Like going there. Like you got to get there at like 7 a.m.
Dude, no, I think people get there earlier. It opens at 8. I bet they get there at like 5 earlier. I don't know. We need to do it. It's closed right now.
We've never been, what's that guy in New York? I forget that guy in New York's name. But he did barbecue in New York. And we were at an event in Austin, and he drove to Snows. Daniel Delaney. Yeah. And he picked up a brisket, and we had this beautiful plated lunch for Foodways Texas, which is a awesome charity supporting Texas foodways and, historical stuff. It's awesome. Look it up. But anyway, he brought just a Snow's brisket to this thing, cut it with a pocket knife, and it was delicious. It was really,
I've never
really good.
had it.
But I've never been. I've had the food, but I've never been there. But she's an 85-year-old woman. She's just the most complete badass ever. It goes into her story with her family and everything, and just kind of just the visuals of seeing Snow's Barbecue, Carrie, who's the owner there. There's a guy, Clay, who also helps Tootsie and does a ton of work, really nice guy from the couple of times I've met him. And they just, it's a place like, this is just what we do. And that's what was fascinating to me, is like, she's like, this is what I do. It's not the thing of the chef of, whatever. It's different because she's passionate about it and she cares, and you see the amount of work and effort and everything that goes into it, the consistency, all of that. But without all of the ego and without
she's pure, man.
Without all of the, all the other stuff that can be negative with that. And and it says, when they got Texas Monthly Best Barbecue, they started crying and everything. And it was like this huge deal, but that's not what they weren't cooking for that. They weren't trying to be like
so surprised,
get accolades. It's just, she's been doing that for years, and it's awesome. It's really cool. The one thing that sucks is they're not open. It's one of those places like right now they're not open because of COVID.
I think they're shipping meats and stuff. I know Daniel Vaughn got a brisket.
On Goldbelly, I think you can order, check out their website, Snow's Barbecue in Lexington. Buy 20 t-shirts, do whatever you can to support them because, Tootsie's 85. It's like, this is such a unique, gem in the Texas barbecue and in the culinary world. Hopefully it can survive this and everything. Yeah. And I think they're doing good. I'm not saying anything like they're not doing good.
I don't think anybody's letting them go away.
No, but it's such a special thing. And then for them to be spotlighted by Chef's Table is like, it's really cool.
So,
we're in our living room, like cheering.
I cried the whole way through it.
Yeah. And then, so it's awesome. Watch it. The same thing, for different reasons, Rodney Scott's episode, he's a friend. We cooked at an event in Charleston, South Carolina with him. His story completely different. He's an African-American guy growing up in kind of poor, South Carolina. His family owned a barbecue place. They do all whole hog barbecue. Different style than, what some people in Texas may be familiar with. But it's an incredible story. And then talks about how he's
super nice guy too.
Now he's opened a couple restaurants, I think. And, all of that, but those were the only episodes we've watched. I'm sure the other ones are great, but
we need to watch the other ones.
Check those out. Super cool. And then again, support your restaurants. If you love a restaurant, if you love a bar, whatever, they need you, so, do you have anything else?
No, I was just going to say, where to find us.
Where can people find Heim Time Podcast?
On the Twitter is Heim Time Podcast, and I guess we're gonna have a YouTube too.
We have a YouTube because the video you already did, how to slice a brisket's on there. Heim Time.
Oh right, yeah.
It's Heim Time. I think it's just Heim Time you search, and that's our channel. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. That video has like 3,000 likes.
Yeah, and it's the worst sound ever, so I'm sorry.
The audio sucks. It's not like Paul, we're in here in the super nice studio and got the whole setup. So Heim Time Podcast, check us out. We're doing a Patreon too, patreon.com/Heim Time Podcast. We're going to do some cool stuff on there, but that's just another way you can support us. Support us having guests on like Grady Spencer, some other friends we're going to have on.
It's going to be fun.
And we can really try to make this a thing, and hopefully it's cool. Send us your questions, send us whatever. If there's stuff you want us to talk about, we're open books. So we're really appreciative. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, it was fun.
This is
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.